sum. Okay, now we have a function. The difference, this is a sub, this is a function. Now, it must be in a module, not in the sheets like we saw. Okay, a function is just like functions in a worksheet. Okay, we can define the variables or the parameters that the function gets. For instance, we can say,
how do you get to a public function?
Insert procedure.
you don't have to insert, you can just write function, just like we wrote sub.
So is this equivalent to the div9 in a macro?
1 second. I just declared two parameters that the function needs to get. Okay? Two integers in this case, and returns a function, gets parameters and returns a value. Okay? Now, in order for it to return a value, someplace in the function, we need to give the name of the function and give it a value to return. Okay. Let me go over it again. I said function. I can either insert it with the procedure and press over here instead of sub function and give it a name, or I can just write function and this public, just like with the subs, we don't have to have over here, it will work without it, and we won't have time to go into public or private in the coding. Okay, now the function has to have a name just like the sub. Okay, the function, I over here declare what parameters the function will get. In this case, please stop talking over there. In this case, num1 is an integer and num2 is an integer, and I return a value. The function returns a value. My sum equals num1 plus num2. Now, if I try to run this, it won't run because it's not a sub. I cannot run this. How do I use a function? I go over here and I say equals my, and here it's in the list of the functions of the Excel, of the worksheet. I choose this. I can go into function and I have over here num1, num2. Where did it get this from? I declared it in the parentheses, right? I write over here 2 and I write over here 6, and it returns the sum. How did it know to return the sum? Because that's what I said. My sum, the name of the function I gave, equals num1 plus num2.
So if you have to say 2 points, well, it won't work. You can do 2 comma 3.
I can put over here, and I can go over here, and I go down to user defined, which is one of the categories in the functions. And over here, I find my function, okay? And I can also give it cells, and I will do the sum of these two together, okay? Now you ask if I have over here what will happen with this. So let's try. We'll take this and change it to here. And we'll do OK. And it just rounds it up. the number and gives me the sum of them. Okay? What I want you to do now is a function just like this. Give it a name, 2 variables, and it returns the sum of these 2 variables, and use it in the worksheet and see that it works. Yeah.
So if in the variable I say num1 as double and num2 as double, and then I would say outside the brackets as integer, that means I would, if I had to go 2.2 plus 2.2.
Right.
Okay.
Can you just add a module without doing macro?
Yeah. Insert module.
Again, you said it knows the sum just because it recognizes the word sum.
What?
It knows to add them because it recognizes the word
No,
sum.
no, mamash no.
Okay.
If I would have called, what's your name?
Sure.
Shua. If I would have called my function Shua, it would have done the same thing exactly. Has
Okay.
nothing to do with the name I gave it.
Sure. So therefore, I don't understand how to know the sum.
Very good question.
Pretty good point.
12 points to you. What you can do with them, I don't know, but if you want points. You see?
Yes.
Okay. Like this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I named my function Shua. Will it work now? No. It won't work. Why? Because there's no place that I tell it what to give back, what to return. I must say, okay, this is the name of my function. Return Shua equals num1 plus num2. This is the sum because I did the plus of these two.
That, yeah.
Okay, this is how it knows to do the sum. No connection
Right.
regardless of what name I gave it. Okay, now it will work. Not like this, but in the worksheet. Now if I refresh this, these have no meaning, right? Because there's no my sum anymore. But if I put over here,
Sure. Put a J.
sure,
Say function.
how did I call it?
No, go to module.
With the storage?
There. I didn't know what to make computers.
You don't have a number D6.
What?
You don't have a number D6.
So sure, you're not a number. You're a person.
So it's not a number.
Apparently you're not.
Oh, right. Okay. Right, because this changed. If I put this over here, and even though it's called Shua, thank you.
Even though it's called Shua.
Make sure you have like.
I'm nice.
Okay, come on, do this function.
But why do you have to write as double? What is as double?
Big number.
You declare what type this parameter should be. Or what type should it return. It doesn't return a string, it returns double.
So now you can
Even if you don't write it, it will work.
Cool. Thank you for doing this. I didn't know you did it.
We said as double. I changed one of them to like decimal. It just rounded it up. It didn't.
What?
I changed one of the numbers to a decimal and it rounded my sum function. It didn't round it. It just rounded up. It didn't show us the decimal. Is it because we have to put the decimal there, Kilo? I did
No,
that.
if you write it as integer, then it will round it up.
But we didn't.
If
We
you
wrote. Oh, but it says but we wrote as double afterwards.
As double is just what it returns. I wrote as double because if you write 10,000 and 30,000, if it's not a double, you get an error.
Isn't long a big number?
Yeah.
So why double? Does the double usually mean decimal? No.
Slowly.
But it could also be a big number. I understand. It's a double.
It doesn't give an exact because I told us. Like that's an integer. It's a double. That's a double.
There's a reason why.
That's what we just got right now.
That makes sense. It's very. There's a reason because it's not working.
I guess I'm not sure that.
My hardest part is
I guess we are.
Where in the world are you?
reading what you said to do and then doing it.
That's a skills.
Where you at?
I'm playing good with
You gotta work on that.
Put me in New York.
The same thing.
On Route 90. That's so embarrassing.
What? In English, there's only
Sure, there's not someone else who's also officially in charge? But I need someone to explain that.
It's like a real game.
I know where it is.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah. He was working on our stuff there.
Yeah. Are we gonna be doing a review, a review like what we need to do for the test here?
If we have time. Okay.
Sorry, I have so much stuff here.
Okay. You got the function?
Yeah.
Okay, so now another function. I want you to write a function that calculates the final grade of a course, where the grade is made out of
Won't it not let you?
Okay, the course has 2 exercises, 2 quizzes, and 1 final test. Okay? Now, the final grade is calculated as 15% the average of these two exercises, 30% the average of the quizzes, and 55% the final test. Okay? So you need to get from different cells or enter in the function will get exercise 1 and exercise 2, quiz 1 and quiz 2, and final test. I will calculate the final, will return the final grade according to this.
Can it be like, we make like a cheat, a chart?
You write a function.
With the right, like how do we get the grades from a chart that we make?
That will worry out later on, like we did the my sum. Did you worry when you wrote the function where you get the values of sum 1 and sum 2? No, you wrote the function, then you entered the values.
Slava.
Got it?
Yes, sir. How many? 2 plus 2 plus 1. How much does that equal?
Whoa, that was some serious shit.
You understand what's the assignment? Anyone has questions about the assignment?
Yeah, how do you plug in the percentages into the, into the exams and the quizzes and the final? Like, how do you do that?
You calculate the average of these. You know what, let's make it a bit more challenging.
Yeah.
3 exercises.
Oh, yay.
3 exercises, and you just take into account the 2 better ones.
Oh my gosh.
Why? That's so much more.
I don't even know how to do that.
Also randomly.
Yeah, it might be better just do the first one.
Okay.
Is this an exam?
3 exercises, you take into account the best 2, you average them, and you make that 15% of the final exam, final grade. 2 quizzes, average them, make this 30% of the final grade, and then the test is 55% of the final grade.
Did that mean we just put numbers into the cells and then we just create random numbers on our own? Because it's not a program.
Yes, you can.
First of all, you write the function, regardless of the numbers you're going to enter later. Like you wrote, function equals function num1, num2. We didn't enter numbers, we entered the numbers later on once the function was ready.
See, it's a dim now, 6 different dims. You're not dim, but you're making 6 different.
Right, but you're not dim.
We're not dim, we're dim.
I'm pretty bad.
If you like the max, is there a max function that you can do? How do you get to choose the higher ones?
What?
How do you get to choose the higher numbers? Is there a function for that max? I can't remember.
Okay, a tip. How do you get to choose the higher numbers?
Yeah.
Can
Okay?
you use ifs?
I'll do exercise 1, exercise 2, and exercise 3. Okay? I want an average of the 2 better ones. How do I do this? So I would suggest doing EX1 plus EX2 plus EX3
If,
minus
is it if by the way?
minimum, min of EX1, EX2, EX3 divided by 2,
It's crazy.
right? This will give me the average of the 2 better ones.
Right, because the minus is the lesser of the 3.
Okay, but this min used as a worksheet function.
So it's going to be,
So you do minus worksheet function dot.
Dot min.
won't recognize min on its own? That's your worksheet function?
Yeah.
Try. If it does, fine. I don't remember which ones work.
It doesn't, it doesn't on its own.
No?
Doesn't.
Does not.
Alright, thank you.
It's worksheet that function that net.
It has to be 13. 2. That's just gonna be 15%.
Is there any way to check, like, what's like the F8 of this, like, check the numbers and see what they're doing? Is there any
I
way?
take all these numbers, the average, but you only want from the 2 highest.
You're at the right or you're wrong?
So I gotta do.
But you could put it in sub and see what happens. You need to change it a bit, but
Is your minus
put it in a sub and then you see what happens. But you could check it also in the worksheet. with numbers, use it.
Oh, right.
And do you have any recommendations how to get it to be more conservative percentage?
Could you just multiply it by the percentage, like 0.15%?
Mine, but you'll still get it to go. Mine still goes over, even though I don't have any numbers above 100. Still going out to 104.
How much 45 and 55 is 100%? What?
It adds up to 100%. I'm saying the score is still coming out at 104.
Something there is wrong.
Well, we never specified that it has to be exact. It has to be under 100.
If all the values are under 100, the final grade must be under 100.
Two highest. Which will give you a percentage. You're gonna make the function. Does it make it work? 2 down. 2 is double, so how many are you gonna divide by?
That function down.
First bracket times it by 1.5. Yeah, no, wait.
Worksheet function is
Make sure you have working brackets.
Mine's all
Then I gotta ask the next one.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, exactly. Took me a second. It's gotta be weird. It's not